What's up, guys? Back with another video. Today we're talking about Sezzle. Now, Sezzle is a pretty small company. It's, I believe, around $2.5 billion in market cap. And Sezzle operates in the buy now, pay later space. So, a lot of people, especially, people my age, maybe older, think that buy now, pay later is kind of just an irresponsible fad that is kind of messing up society. People are buying things that they can't actually pay for. But, when you think about it, what is buy now, pay later competing against? It's really competing against these entrenched credit card companies. Now, what is better, for a regular person? Running up their credit card to, an unlimited amount, and now they just have insurmountable debt that they have to, constantly pay off. They're basically in this debt trap. Or buy now, pay later, where there's 0% interest. And, the worst case scenario is these late fees, which, at least for Sezzle, the late fees cap out at around 25% is where they cap out. So obviously, comparing the two, Sezzle is a safer and better product for the consumer. So, thinking about it in those terms, it really changes the dynamic. Not only does it seem like buy now, pay later is not just a fad, it's something that the younger generation is leaning towards for really good reasons, because they don't like credit. They see some of their friends, maybe some of their family members in debt that might even be insurmountable. And they say they don't want to deal with that. So buy now, pay later is a much better alternative. One comparison is actually drawing the comparison of buy now, pay later to early credit card companies, which people didn't really think could replace checks at the time. People thought that credit cards might be a fad, that credit cards might be a race to the bottom because, there's not really any moat there, right? Like the merchants, why would they pay the credit card companies any type of fee when they can pay a lower fee to a different credit card company? But what ended up happening is these credit card companies created brands. American Express, for example, it created this high-end, high-status brand. And they also created these closed-loop ecosystems where, if you use them, you get certain benefits, et cetera, et cetera. The same thing is happening with buy now, pay later companies, including Sezzle. Except I think Sezzle, because they are already more aligned with their customer, they don't want their customer to get into deep debt because they don't get any interest. There's no interest that they get. So they actually have much more aligned incentives with their customer. And because of that, they really are motivated to improve the customer's life, to help the customer succeed. And, one example in which how they do this is called Sezzle Up, which, it more or less just means that whenever you, complete your payments in time, Sezzle reports this to, I don't even know what agency it's called, but they basically help you improve your credit score every time that you make your payments on time. And, some people have differing opinions about this, but when you miss your payments, they don't actually lower your credit score. So you can only raise your credit score with Sezzle. So again, the incentives are aligned. They want the consumer to do as good as possible. And they're creating similar closed loop ecosystems to how credit card companies have. They have their own app, which is actually much better than credit card companies' apps. Because again, there's a younger company that is built in the modern day. So they just have a more intuitive software design, which again is, they're creating a strong brand, a strong moat, strong user experience. So I really just think ultimately that buy now, pay later is similar to early credit card companies. It's seen as a fad. There's a lot of doubt behind it. People don't understand it, but it's actually a much better alternative to using a credit card. And I think it really doesn't take that much thought to realize that. And so I'm really bullish on the buy now, pay later space. Sezzle in particular has been blowing their numbers out of the water. They beat their own guidance for Q1 2025 by something like 65%, growing their revenue over 120% year over year. It was the first time in like 2 or 3 years that their Q1 revenue actually grew over their Q4 revenue. You know, because Q4 is the holiday season, so there's a lot more volume sometimes. Well, pretty much all the time. But yeah, this was the first time they beat their Q4 revenue in Q1 of the next year. So, yeah, really bullish on Sezzle. Again, it is really the biggest weakness is its moat. Actually, there's another weakness, but its moat, you know, it's still early into its development. It's still growing its customer base. So, you know, it hasn't developed that strong of a moat yet. But we can see with its financial performance is that it's executing extremely well. It's actually very profitable despite growing so quickly. But the other issue with it is that, and I've been trying to look into this, I still don't quite understand why it's like this, but their active customer count only grew something like, I believe, 6% in Q1 2025. I know there's a weird history where they were losing customers for a while, and it looks like they're turning them around. But, you know, even despite this massive revenue growth of 120%, their income's exploding, they somehow are only growing active customer count by 6%. So that is kind of a big red flag. So that's going to be a number I pay close attention to in their coming earnings. You know, I want to see that go higher, obviously, because if they are only growing their customers that amount, then I don't see how they can continue growing their finances, their financial. They can't grow their revenue and their earnings super fast if their customers aren't growing. So those are my thoughts on Sezzle. I made it a pretty decent sized position in my portfolio, in my stock market portfolio. I just think it's really cheap. I didn't really talk about the valuation, but if you look at the valuation, it's only about a PE of 30, even after this huge run up that it's had recently. You know, it's cash flow positive. You know, its cash flows, its earnings, its revenue is all skyrocketing. I think they sandbagged their guidance. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Sezzle. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next video.